This is unreal.
The weather, an uncontrollable force, giving us life and taking it away. As our planet heats up, the weather is getting more extreme.
Guys, we've got cars floating again.
More terrifying.
Avalanche! Avalanche!
And even more catastrophic.
If you're the praying type, please just pray for us, because this is really scary.
With incredible self-shot footage.
I thought Titanic came into my head.
From the front line of fear.
The biggest challenge we have is going against Mother Nature.
It's an extremely challenging environment.
We witness firsthand.
What I was feeling was burning from inside out.
The wrath of Mother Nature.
I was saying everything's going to be okay, even though in my head I knew that was a lie.
I'm getting out of here.
It's like your brain doesn't understand what you're seeing.
From twisted tales of terror.
I don't want to die in my store.
Death was right around the corner.
Earth-shattering natural disasters.
It's an earthquake.
You're dicing with danger. If you're in their way, you die.
And stories of sheer destruction.
Oh my God!
It's all gone.
It looks like World War II.
We meet the people who've stared death in the face.
We're not going to get out of this alive.
And survived the full force of the world's deadliest weather.
Really kicking our ass.
Coming up in this episode. Hurricane Michael rips across the Florida panhandle, leaving nothing but destruction in its wake.
I hope I make this out alive.
It went downhill pretty quick and it really started showing some muscle.
Britain's Coast Guard battles near gale force winds as fishermen fight for survival.
The fear of knowing that if I don't cling onto that vessel, there's a high likelihood I'm going to die.
And the desert turns deadly for one man in Mongolia.
No one was going to come and help me.
Florida is well known for its beautiful sunshine, warm ocean, and mile upon mile of pristine sandy beaches. But on the 10th of October 2018, Hurricane Michael, which became one of the most severe hurricanes ever to hit the United States, is brewing off Florida's west coast. Storm chaser Derek Sibley and his friend Tim have their sights set on chasing it.
I was just saying to Derek that I looked at the visible as the sun was rising here, and it was just like Michael saying, "Good morning," just over and over again as the loop was going through. Good morning.
The day the storm was arriving, we first headed out to Panama City Beach.
The radar showing another solid band, probably about 4.5 miles out.
We knew it was going to make landfall somewhere along the Florida Panhandle. We just didn't know exactly how strong the storm was going to be. We check our radars on our phones. We use an app to constantly check where the center of the storm is. Tim had his laptop open with a satellite view of Michael. The storm just looked so beautiful. Once we saw that the eye on radar was jogging further and further east, we decided that we needed to go more east, so that way we can actually get into the center of the hurricane. That's always the goal, is to get into the eye.
17 miles inland, Steve Young is preparing for what he thinks will be a relatively small-scale storm.
We're hoping it's going to die off here, by the time it comes inland. Normally the storms drop off pretty quickly when they reach the coast, and that's what everybody thought was going to happen with Michael. Just waiting on the hurricane. This is an unusual sight. Shuttering in this area is unheard of because we're so far inland. It was originally forecast to be just a strong tropical storm, maybe a Category 1 hurricane, but that was enough to get me started in making preparations.
Meanwhile, storm chaser Derek is continuing to track Michael's eye. The hurricane is gathering intensity, much to Derek's delight.
Yeah, you're not kidding. There really is nothing over here.
As new information came in, we realized that Michael was going to be a lot stronger than what we thought it to be. It looked like it was going to be something more significant.
Good thing we went this way. We got hit with that.
Hotel we were at, we felt that it was the most sturdy building possible, and a lot of other storm chasers probably felt the same way, as they didn't really move.
It's like this kid right off. The tree just came apart.
But I didn't want to get the same video that everybody else was filming from the hotel. I wanted to get a different vantage point and different perspective. So I saw a store that was across the street, and so I decided that, hey, you know, I think this is a good spot for me. Nobody else is here.
Eager to catch unique footage of the incoming eye wall, Derek heads out alone.
The store was completely locked down. I think they even had a sign on the window that said the store is closed due to Hurricane Michael.
Along the coast in Port St. Joe, Brenda and Chuck Griffiths and their son Judson are watching the storm approach.
We talked about evacuating, and at the last minute, we decided to stay.
We're all out watching.
We saw the neighbor's roof blow off.
I watched a huge oak tree fall into his front yard.
Trees are flying. I mean, right in front of them is a huge oak tree uprooted.
They had never had a storm of that magnitude here, so no one really was prepared for it. The wind never let up.
It was surreal, and it kind of scared us all.
They're gone, y'all. They are running through the storm.
Michael is feeding off the moist air of Florida's warm waters. As the hurricane makes landfall, it causes widespread panic and destruction.
911, where's the emergency?
Nobody's able to respond to any calls.
Stay where you are until the storm passes because it is very unsafe outside.
Just shelter in place and survive.
Wind speeds have now reached 155 miles per hour. And storm chaser Derek is trapped outside, exposed to Michael's full force.
I was facing downwind, away from the wind hitting my back, and the wind was not hitting me. And I was seeing lots of debris just flying around everywhere. I heard cracks, I heard screams from the wind. Being that eye wall of Hurricane Michael was absolutely unbelievable. Just watching basically whiteout conditions, meaning that you couldn't see barely maybe like 50 feet in front of you. It was just intense whiteout from the rain and the wind. Watching and hearing trees come apart and debris just flying around and sometimes hitting you. Just a very scary and very crazy experience.
Having ripped apart the coastline, Hurricane Michael begins barreling inland towards Steve with terrifying speed.
It went downhill pretty quick and it really started showing some muscle. I mean, it was very impressive looking at the live camera feeds that were on my backyard. And all the trees went down pretty much at the same time. All the oak trees went down within about a 30-second period, both in the front and the backyard. I definitely would not recommend going outside in that situation.
I couldn't believe what my eyes were seeing. I couldn't believe what was happening around me. My heart was racing. I was shaking. I had metal objects tearing off of buildings and nearby stores that were just flying around in the eye wall.
Oh, I hope I make this out alive.
I felt like it wasn't going to end. I felt that literally I was in a place where it was just never endless wind, and I felt like I was being punished. The winds were too strong for me to run out back to the hotel. I couldn't get inside to the pharmacy store because it was completely locked down. I had to just hope and pray that, everything would be okay. I knew that I was stuck there.
Later, we see how Michael grew to become the strongest hurricane to make landfall in the US in 26 years.
We found these people on the roof.
And witness its terrifying power of destruction.
The sound outside was just like an F-22 fighter jet at full throttle, like it was sitting out in my backyard.
Extreme weather waits for no one. And for the brave rescuers of Her Majesty's Coast Guard, there is no respite. Stationed in Kent, southeast England, Captain Deli Kukanu and winchman Rob Chalmers respond to around 200 call-outs a year.
On a map, the English Channel does look tiny. It looks like a small piece of water, but it's very much not the case. It's still a large expanse. We do an awful lot of searches out in the English Channel, and unfortunately, many of them we don't find the person we're sent out to look for.
On November 7th, 2018, Belgian brothers Guy and Claude Hollebecke and 2 crew members are fishing in the English Channel around 15 miles offshore on the edge of the Dover Strait.
The plan was to fish and then go home the morning after. We were working on the gear and we were drifting. It was just a day at the office.
But when your office is the open sea, anything can happen.
It was a particularly windy day that day. The channel's very prone to actually drive a southwesterly wind through the channel, and it almost funnels the wind through the channel between the UK and Europe. It was incredibly rough. It was rougher than we normally see the channels.
As near gale force winds bear down on Guy and Claude's boat, their routine fishing trip turns deadly.
The first warning was just a big wave that came on the ship. And before we could do anything or say anything, the second wave hit us, and then it was already too late for the boat. I instantly hit the water. The water was cold. They think about being rescued.
Back at the Coast Guard base, Captain Deli and winchman Rob are alerted to the incident.
A call coming on the scramble phone. The initial details of this was it's 4 people in the water from a capsized fishing vessel.
We immediately went to the aircraft. We were airborne at 1600 with further details coming in on the radio.
A passing shipping vessel puts out a mayday call and manages to pull Claude and shipmate Kevin to safety. But Guy and James are left stranded on top of the hull.
People in the water, particularly the waters around the UK, have such a low survivability time, so it's essential you get there as fast as possible.
On identifying the capsized vessel, we saw 2 guys clinging on to the upturned hull in a heavy sea state. Our main concern was that the sea would wash them off the capsized hull, so speed was of the essence. There was quite strong weather approaching from the southwest with a thunderstorm cell.
The lightning was approaching, and we were very aware we needed to get this wrapped up quickly and get them to safety.
Conditions at sea can change in a heartbeat, often with terrifying consequences. Huge waves are hitting a fishing trawler in the Barents Sea, off the northern coasts of Norway and Russia. The sea is battering the boat, flooding the top deck, and swamping everything below. The ship is taking on a worrying amount of water. But the capable crew soon have it in hand, proving for them it's all in a day's work. The seafaring folk aboard this vessel from Virginia are hoping to stay out of the water. But Mother Nature has other ideas. These terrified tourists in Thailand are being forced to face a perilous plunge into stormy seas in order to be rescued from their broken-down boat. Failed mechanics mean calling the Coast Guard. So all 14 tourists can finally swim to safety. Around 15 miles off the coast of Dover, Guy and Claude's fishing boat has capsized in the rough seas of the English Channel.
The helicopter arrived, the winchman came down.
This situation was made more difficult than normal due to the strong winds and heavy sea state. Maintaining the aircraft in a steady position when I'm blind to the vessel, which is directly beneath us, was a little tricky.
I cannot begin to comprehend how terrifying it must be, the fear of knowing that if I don't cling onto that vessel, there's a high likelihood I'm going to die. The winch we use on the helicopter for me to go down and get them, it's only rated to carry 2 people. That's usually myself and one other survivor. So we had the dilemma of leaving a guy in that predicament down there.
As waves continue to batter the boat, Guy is left clinging to the hull, while Rob hoists crewmate James to safety.
Leaving one person behind is very rare. I don't think I've ever left just a single person on his own on a deck in them conditions. Particularly as it was getting dark by then, and finding people in the sea at night is incredibly difficult. But I think under those circumstances, we were left with no other choice.
It happened so fast, everything goes through your mind. I was clinging on till the helicopter winchman came back to put me secure in the helicopter.
You're so focused on getting the guys, that's the only thing going through your mind, and for that few minutes of your life, that's the most important thing in the world.
Despite battling high winds and huge waves, the Coast Guard manages to bring everyone safely back to land.
After the mission, we were relieved that we'd recovered the full crew successfully. A lot of the situations we deal with in these type of environments, we do not always recover the casualty with a happy ending. So on this occasion, it was good news.
I was relieved to see all of the crew and my brother. We are very grateful that they are doing that job.
I think these fishermen will have a greater respect for the weather and the sea after this experience. It can bite you so quickly and so easily. Things change from a normal situation to suddenly being in a situation where your life's in extreme danger.
Still to come. In Florida, a storm chaser is trapped outside as Hurricane Michael tears through town.
I was scared that maybe the building would fail, maybe the roof would come down on me.
And in Utah, heavy snowfall in the canyon causes catastrophe.
My worst fear was that I was going to find a dead body.
One of your officers has been hit by a car.
Mongolia, home to the Gobi Desert, one of the harshest landscapes on Earth. Covering 500,000 square miles, it's the 5th largest desert in the world. And the lack of rain makes the vast expanse virtually uninhabitable. But try telling that to 28-year-old explorer Ash Dykes.
I wanted to test myself in an extreme country that I was completely unfamiliar with. Mongolia for me stood out as I'd never been to the desert before, and I'd never done a solo expedition previously.
For Ash's first solo venture, he wanted to be the first recorded person to walk across Mongolia. His route would take him from the Altai Mountains in the west, across the scorching Gobi Desert, and finally through the vast grasslands of the eastern steppe, a total distance of 1,500 miles, completely on his own, with just an 18-stone trailer for company.
I felt as prepared as I could have been, but there's only so much you can prepare for something that hasn't been done before.
Ash's journey begins in the freezing Altai Mountains.
Whew, the Altai Mountains. I faced extremely cold conditions, so I was looking forward to actually the heat of the Gobi Desert because I'd faced such harsh and cold conditions.
The Gobi Desert can see temperatures soar to over 50 degrees Celsius, but the heat is not the only threat.
When that sandstorm hit, it was loud, it was painful, it was scary, and it's almost like you're in just this big tumble dryer. I had to cover my eyes, my mouth, my ears, and that's when I thought, like, wow, Mother Nature is powerful.
Deserts are wild and unpredictable places, as these archaeologists are also about to find out.
Oh, wow.
Their camp in eastern Jordan is being threatened by a dust devil.
It's coming this way.
A frightening mix of sandstorm and tornado. Dust devils move quickly across the desert landscape, leaving a trail of destruction in their path.
I can't see anything. I'm in the center of the storm.
But all they can do is weather the storm and wait it out. In the remote Australian outback, this driver is confronted by the dust devil's bigger, angrier sibling, a monstrous dust storm. With poor visibility, he plunges in head first, before the storm's ferocity stops him in his tracks. As the windscreen is pelted with dust and sand, driving becomes impossible, and he is forced to wait it out. Until eventually, the storm begins to pass. In the Mediterranean, a relaxing cruise is taking a sinister turn, as a massive cloud of dust from the Sahara Desert turns the sky orange. With such poor visibility, the safest way to navigate the creepy orange fog is to let everyone know you're coming. Having survived a brutal dust storm himself, explorer Ash Dykes is still battling his way across the Gobi Desert. But under the scorching sun, alone, days from civilization, and dragging an 18-stone trailer, he's beginning to feel the heat.
I'm just completely drained. Oh, the sun is... Words can't describe the pain and agony I'm going through at the minute. The temperatures rise to over 40 degrees Celsius. There was no trees, there was no natural shade, there was no breeze whatsoever, and I was really suffering. I have blisters, I have a temperature, I have a banging headache, I have heat exhaustion. I was losing this battle.
Desperately needing shade from the blazing sun, Ash has a bright idea.
This is how seriously hot today is. The only shelter that I could find was to hide underneath my trailer. And I now started to see my trailer not so much as a burden, but an ally. But it was at this point that I realized I'm now running low on water, and I had 4 days to go to get to the next community that had water. I'm in agony. Absolute agony. It hit me when I was under my trailer that I can't continue. I was delirious, I was hallucinating, I had no energy. I realized I could quite easily die out here in the Gobi Desert.
On his own, low on water, and surrounded by hundreds of miles of desert, Ash must dig deep to find a way to survive.
I remember just being scared for my life, and it was a realization that the only way of making it alive was to actually stand up from outside of my trailer and get myself out of the Gobi Desert, because no one was going to come and help me. So I allowed myself no more than 5 minutes underneath the trailer before getting up, strapping the trailer back on, and pushing forward for maybe 100 meters before resting back under the trailer for another 5 minutes. 5 minutes under the trailer, 100 walking, 5 minutes under the trailer, 100 meters walking. And ultimately, probably that is what saved my life.
4 grueling days later, Ash makes it to the village, where he is taken in and cared for.
Once I arrived, I was delirious. The locals saw that I was in a bad way. They invited me and they took care of me. So as you saw before, I was in the worst state imaginable. But I've been let into these guys' gear, which is awesome. And it took me the best part of 8 days to make a full recovery in order to be able to push on.
Determined to see his challenge through, Ash embarks on the final leg of his journey.
I was extremely scared and very intimidated to get back out into the Gobi Desert. But I told myself, buck up the courage, buck up the physical and mental strength again, and go back out.
He braves the brutal desert climate once again, and it takes Ash 78 days to complete his record-breaking adventure.
Congratulations, buddy. Yeah.
But not without learning an important lesson.
Since the Gobi Desert, I don't underestimate how harsh and how dangerous the weather can be. Just the sheer power of Mother Nature and how vulnerable it can make you feel.
Earlier, we saw Hurricane Michael tear the state of Florida apart.
I felt like I was being punished.
But as residents watched the horror unfold from their homes,
it went downhill pretty quick and really started showing some muscle.
Storm chaser Derek is trapped outside, enduring wind speeds of 155 miles per hour and clinging onto a shop front for survival.
I hope I make this out alive.
I did fear for my life because, I didn't want to get hit by flying debris, and certainly I was scared that maybe the building would fail, maybe the roof would come down on me. Standing in those type of winds will definitely knock your feet off the ground. I had a strong adrenaline rush, but I couldn't believe what my eyes were seeing. I couldn't believe what was happening around me as far as how strong the winds were getting. I was shaking because I was getting so nervous. I just could not wait for the eye to come in so I can at least get some sort of a break before the back half of the storm will arrive.
Meanwhile, 17 miles inland, Steve is watching Michael destroy his home.
Something's definitely coming loose on top of the roof. And then the actual eye wall started making its attack on us. Hey guys, we have a major mess in the front yard. But we've lost everything. The neighbor's pines took all that out. I've lost my big oak tree. So I'm watching the red building on the camera system, and it starts rocking as the storm really gets fierce. And it just suddenly just let go. And then the building just flipped over and came apart, hitting the front of my camper. It landed upside down on my golf cart and smashed it completely like a pancake. So now the storm has blown down all my trees and it's taken this building and spread it across the yard. So it's smashed my golf cart, it's destroyed my RV, and it's getting even stronger.
RV is really smashed up.
The sound outside was just like an F-22 fighter jet at full throttle, like it was sitting out my backyard. There are pieces of that red building going well over 100 miles per hour. There are all kinds of other things in the air.
We got an old mattress against the door. That thing opens up. It's not going to be a fun rest of the ride.
Outside the store, Derek is finally getting some respite as the eerily calm eye is upon him.
The calm part of the hurricane arrived. In the eye, the temperatures just shot up significantly. It actually got really warm and really hot.
Congratulations, buddy. The eye of a Cat 4.
We did see a little bit of a stadium effect, and it was really unbelievable experience to see because the stadium that we saw was actually the eye wall that had left, and then behind us was the other part of the stadium, which was the second eye wall that was coming in.
While the eye provides a brief moment of peace, it's also a chance to assess the carnage.
First part of the eye wall that moved in, and unfortunately shattered windshields and even totaled out some vehicles. The hotel was just completely filled with debris.
But the hotel is still much safer than being outside, and the back end of the storm has now arrived.
All you hear in the sounds were roars from the winds. Could not wait for the entire storm to be over.
Later in the afternoon, the storm passes, but Brenda, Chuck, and their son Judson are facing a new challenge: floodwater.
Do these people need help, I wonder?
When I saw the water as high as it was in the street, it blew my mind.
Oh, here's our neighbor's house and it's caved in. We've got to get them out.
Knowing their community is in desperate need of help, they spring into action.
We launched the boat in the road. The street was littered with cars, storage buildings, trash cans, anything that would float.
I think our fence is down. Our building the roof is gone.
Our house is okay.
Everything in people's lives was floating in the water, you know, from cars to clothes to toys. The water came in and out quickly. I was concerned about electricity and debris. You know, I didn't know what was on the bottom.
As the Griffey's family navigate uncharted waters, they notice a group of people trapped on a roof.
We got a boat. We just floated it over there. Now we're trying to get these people off of the roof.
With Brenda watching, Chuck and Judson mount a rescue.
It was a mother, a daughter, and the daughter's boyfriend.
The neighborhood is in horrible shape. We found these people on the roof.
They were screaming and asking for help. We were their only hope. And we had the ladder.
We're trying to get them down.
They didn't really want to climb onto the ladder because the boat was blowing in the wind.
Power lines down everywhere. We don't know where we're stepping, but we could not leave these people on the roof. We couldn't do it.
We pulled the boat up, you know, and I steadied the boat against the house. Judson held the ladder.
So proud of my son.
We helped the 3 people into the boat.
So we got them off the roof, folks.
I was just so proud of them wanting to help these people.
It's gonna be okay.
For Steve, the harsh reality of Michael's destruction is beginning to hit him.
There's hardly a tree left in sight. The entire tree line behind my house is gone.
I'm looking at my buildings, I'm looking at my vehicles and my property, the damage, and I'm thinking, man, this sucks.
It looks like a different world now.
And the thought in my head at that point is, how am I ever going to get this back to the way it used to be?
Worse than I ever would have imagined.
It was just overwhelming.
I'm Unbelievable.
Michael became one of the top 4 strongest hurricanes to ever hit the US. At the time, experts called it a Category 4, but recent analysis has since seen it upgraded to the most severe level, a Cat 5. For Derek, his dangerously close encounter could have ended very differently.
I think I was very lucky that I escaped without any scratches or injuries on me. Unfortunately, people died in the storm when they were just hunkering down in their homes. It was just an unbelievable event.
Michael's lethal force claimed at least 72 lives and caused $25 billion of damage.
Mother Nature is nothing to play with.
I've always had respect for what weather can do, but it really is an eye-opener. You gotta be prepared for what may happen.
The reality is, Mother Nature can just wipe everything clean, and everything you've ever known can be different. It just makes you aware of how vulnerable we are. Everything that you see can be taken away.
Extreme weather causes chaos, especially when the temperature drops. Moscow, Russia, and a worker is shoveling snow from the roof of a 3-story building. But working without a safety harness is risky business. Even though he falls 30 feet into the snow below, incredibly, he survives. And aided by his colleagues, he manages to walk it off before being taken to the nearest hospital. But there's a reason why shoveling snow off an icy roof is worth risking life and limb, as this woman is about to find out. While passing a market in Zavolzhsk, Russia, she is almost crushed by a shelf of snow that plummets from above. Passers-by rush to her aid, and she is helped back to her feet, unharmed. Back in Moscow, this motorcyclist is burning some rubber on a frozen lake. But no matter how solid the ice may look, appearances can be deceptive. He desperately clings onto his beloved bike, but in order to save himself, he has to give in to the freezing water. So it's easy to see why icy conditions should be approached with caution. March 2018. The snow-capped mountain ranges surrounding Cache Valley in Utah are home to some of the most remote highways in America. One man who knows these roads better than most is Sergeant Cade Brenchley.
I've been with the Utah Department of Public Safety about 16 and a half, almost 17 years. In northern Utah, especially where I'm located, it can get well below freezing during the winter time and lots of snow.
One infamous stretch of road that winds through Cache Valley is known as the Big Curve.
Anytime we have inclement weather, bad weather, our number one concern is Big Curve. What's going to be happening at Big Curve? It's very narrow, clouds come in and it dumps a lot of snow. If you're going too fast into that curve, you're going to lose control. Some people refer to it as the death curve due to the number of accidents with fatalities.
On March 25th, Sergeant Brenchley is nearing the end of his shift.
It was rainy most of the day, and getting towards the end of the day, we started getting calls of slide-offs happening in the canyon. And so I went up to help, and as soon as I entered the mouth of the canyon, it was just like another world. As soon as you started going up the hill, It went from wet roads and some rain to heavy snow and 3 or 4 inches at least on the road. People couldn't see it coming until they were into the big curve, and it was dangerous.
Monica Muncy and her friend Hannah are also heading towards the big curve.
Hannah was going pretty fast on the interstate, and I remember thinking in the back, I was like, we should maybe slow down just a little bit. I was a little nervous just with the combination of speed and weather.
As they make their approach, Sergeant Brenchley receives a call.
Another trooper had just witnessed a car and truck get into an accident, and the truck rolled onto its side.
We still got a couple of crashes up here that we haven't got taken care of. One was a big curve that I think might just need a tow.
So I told dispatch that I would head to that crash because it was just around the curve from where I was at. So I pulled up and I positioned my car in the emergency lane, and I could see a lady standing outside of her car. There was snow falling at that point. I remember thinking, okay, it's still coming down. The roads were bad.
We were going around the curve, and Hannah was going too fast, and we just lost traction.
I stepped out of my car to go talk to the lady in the white car who had just been involved in the accident. And that's really the last thing I remember. I felt a jolt. Everything went black, and there was some humming, some ringing in my head.
I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, did we just kill somebody? We were just screaming, and the car was turning, and it was just terrifying.
I opened my eyes. I was face up. My head was right next to the wheel of the car I was thrown into, and I was gasping for air. I had the wind knocked out of me, and I was trying to breathe and get my breath. I had a lot of things going through my mind. Number one was my wife. I thought about my 4 kids and how they were going to take this. I knew I was injured. I didn't know the severity yet. I was in extreme pain with my left knee and my right shoulder, and all I could taste was grit and gravel in my mouth.
When we came to a stop, I threw open my door and just ran. When I turned around that white car, my worst fear was that I was going to find a dead body.
She started kind of assessing me and talking to me, held my hand.
I immediately just knelt down next to him and said, "Hi, what's your name?" And I just started trying to just keep him talking, because in my head I was like, he probably has a concussion.
She was very comforting and was very calm.
As Monica stays to care for him, another bystander stops to help.
A man asked me, what should I do? I told him, just tell dispatch 216 has been hit, we need an ambulance.
I need an ambulance. One of your officers has been hit by a car.
I was afraid that he had broken his back and that his knee was shattered, that he wasn't going to be able to walk again.
Got an officer hit.
10 Mark, you need an ambulance?
Yes, we need an ambulance. Cash, officer down.
Once I arrived at the hospital, I was given a quick assessment before I was taken in for a CT scan and x-rays. When I came out, he said, you've got 4 broken ribs, and then your scapula, your shoulder blade is broken.
Cade spent 3 months recovering, giving him time to reflect on his lucky escape.
If I had just been a few inches closer to the windshield, that is reinforced steel, I would have probably crushed the back of my head, and I would have been killed.
And despite the deadly wipeout, Cade has made a lifelong friend in Monica.
We had brunch just the other weekend. The way we met is unorthodox, but our bond is true and it's real.
Driving in bad weather, the biggest thing is slow down.
Always be aware of the weather. The weather is king.
In the epic battle of man versus weather, there is usually only one winner. But every now and then, people power prevails. Take this woman in West Virginia, in the aptly named city of Hurricane. Even a Category 1 storm can't stop her doing her weekly shop. Undeterred by the fierce winds, she calmly returns her shopping cart and is on her way. It's woman 1, weather 0.
Oh my gosh.
In Nebraska, the battle continues. This man won't let the wintry weather stop him in his tracks. He's come up with a novel approach. By modding his car with snow tires, he can now glide across the heavy snow with ease, putting mankind back in the driving seat. And in Alaska, the small victories continue. This daring dad is braving thick ice to fetch his daughter's new toy kitchen from his truck.
No. Hey, not bad.
Determined not to let the slippery surface scupper his efforts, he powers his way back up the driveway. So close, and yet so far. Maybe a longer run-up will do the trick.
Yeah, woo!
Job done. Well, almost. At least the dedicated dad knows it was all worthwhile.
Off for a kitchen.
In this episode, we've seen Mother Nature flex her mighty muscles. We've seen how helpless we can be.
We found these people on the roof.
We've seen her tear down, rip up, and laugh in our faces.
Absolute agony.
And next time there will be more, because deadly weather stops for no one.